Here's Kevin Miller, junior right fielder, coming into the tournament batting .389 for Oakfield. Had 4 hits, including a double in the semifinal win over Amherst yesterday. Bounced out to second his first time up today. The pitch from Arch, and on the ground to second again, and Sean Arch right there on the second hop to throw him in. Kevin Miller retired, and the batter now is first baseman Tim Holtz. He is a big guy. Tim is the kind of guy who you say, boy, I hope that guy plays offensive tackle for somebody. He is a very large gentleman. Senior batting .393. Line to short his first time up. He hits a foul ball off the umpire's chest protector and down the line at first base for strike 1. Nothing in 1 to Tim Holtz. Doug Arch on the mound for Greenwood, and his pitch to Holtz on the way is hit in the air to left field, and Kevin Kind over towards the line, crosses the line, and makes the catch right on the line for the second out. So Holtz flies to left field, 2 quick outs in the Oakfield 4th inning. The batter now is center fielder Brian Sable. Made a couple of fine catches in the top half of this inning. Sable bounced out to third back in the second inning, so he is 0 for 1. Very quick ball game. We've played almost 4 innings here in about 45 minutes. Arch winds and throws a breaking ball in for ball 1. Oakfield is batting bottom of the 4th. They lead Greenwood 1-0 in this Class C title game here in Wausau. Here's the 1-0 delivery, and that is a bit inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Only man who scored in this ball game was Oakfield pitcher Russ Vay, who got on via a base on balls. The 2-0 from Arch, and that is downstairs, ball 3. And any coach will tell you how much he hates those walks when his pitcher's on the mound. 3-0 to Brian Sable, and Arch throws again way outside for ball 4. Didn't come close with that breaking ball, so a 2-out walk for Oakfield. The Oaks have a base runner, and the catcher Brian Brower stands in next. He bounced back to the mound his first time up. Brower taking his time getting some equipment off. By the way, we'd like to once again salute our sponsors of Greenwood Indians baseball here on WDLB. That list includes the Greenwood Telephone Company. They serve Greenwood and the entire Greenwood area. Greenwood TV, your RCA satellite systems dealer, and the Farmers and Merchants Bank of Greenwood, your full-service bank, and of course they are a member of the FDIC. Now Brian Brower stands in with 2 outs and a man at first base. The pitch by Arch is over for a called strike. Sable down at first base, only the 3rd runner Oakfield has had today. 0-1 to Brower, way inside. Count goes to 1-1. Have a lot of baseball here in Wausau today. If you'd like to see some high school baseball, stop in, because there will be 4 games following this one. They'll have contests all day long. Toss to first base. Sable back in time. Right-hander Doug Arch trying to get out of this 4th inning for the Greenwood Indians. The pitch to Brower, runner going. It's popped up near home plate, behind the plate. Hinker back and makes the catch to end the inning. That ball was not hit very high. It curled behind home plate, and Scott Hinker quickly off with the mask and the headgear got back to make the catch in front of the backstop to end the inning. Oakfield in the 4th, no runs on no hits, no errors, a walk and 1 man left, and now we've played 4 full innings, and our score is Oakfield 1, Greenwood 0. We'll come back to Wausau after this message. Now the Greenwood Indians trying to get that run back as we go now to the top half of the 5th inning, and they'll have Kind, Vessel, and Standiford coming up, 6, 7, and 8 hitters. Oakfield with a 1-0 lead. The Oaks scored the only run back in the 3rd on a walk, a sacrifice, and a base hit. And compared to the 9-run onslaught they had against Amherst yesterday, and the 14 runs which Greenwood scored against Flambeau in the other semifinal, This ball game has been extremely tame. Russ Vay has allowed no hits for Oakfield today. His first pitch to Kevin Kind, a breaking ball inside for ball one. Oakfield 1, Greenwood nothing, top half of the fifth. Here's the 1-0, a breaking ball down low, 2-0 to Kevin Kind. There have been 3 walks issued by Russ Vay today. 2-0 delivery is over at the knees, a called strike. Greenwood has also had a base runner on via an error. 2-1 delivery, pop into the backstop foul behind home plate, and the count now 2-2. But Vay has been in command so far today. Allowed no runs on 3 hits of the first 4 innings. So this powerful Greenwood attack has been shut down. The 2-2 to Kind, he swings and just tips it foul behind home plate. Count will stay 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wausau's Athletic Park starting to fill up. Fans coming in here in anticipation of the Class B semifinals, which will follow this ball game. The 2-2 to Kind, and he rips it foul down the right side, and the bleachers out of play. Kevin Kind battling Russ Vay. The count still 2-2. Greenwood making their first appearance in the state finals. Oakfield won this tournament 2 years ago. Again, the 2-2 delivery, curveball. It didn't miss by much. Just a bit high. Hard to believe Kind took that pitch on 2-2, but he did, and the count is out full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Vay winds, throws a fastball. That is over for called strike 3. And Russ Vay comes back with the strikeout, his second strikeout of the morning. And the batter is Ken Vessel, the sophomore shortstop, batting .262, 2 homers and 18 RBIs. Ken grounded to short his first time up. The pitch by Vay is popped up behind third base, and Bob Hines in foul territory calls and grabs it for the second out. 2 outs, and now first baseman Scott Standiford will hit. Greenwood Sr. batting .354, who bounced out to short his first time up.
Now batting for first baseman, number 20, Scott Standiford.
Right-hander Russ Vay still in command. His pitch to Standiford is up for ball 1. Greenwood batting top of the fifth. Nobody on base and 2 outs, and they trail 1-0. Here's the 1-0 delivery, and Standiford fouls it back to the screen. The count goes even at 1-1. We mentioned Standiford's athletic ability. Quarterbacked the football team for Coach Bob Lenz this past fall. Also a standout on Tom Bucher's basketball team. And now playing baseball for Scoop Druschke. Standiford stands back in. The count 1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch by Vay. Breaking ball popped up on the right side, and first baseman Tim Holtz wants it in foul territory and makes the catch to end the inning. So an easy inning for Russ Vay on the mound for Oakfield. Greenwood with no runs on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base, and now we've played 4.5. The score is still Oakfield 1, Greenwood nothing, and we'll come back to Wausau following this message. Well, once again, Doug Arch has to stop this Oakfield offense as we go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Oakfield leading Greenwood 1-0. The bottom third of the Oakfield batting order stepping in, and they're the guys that caused the problems back in the 3rd inning and picked up the only run of this ball game. Pitcher Russ Vay stands in against Arch and hits the first pitch down the first base side. A tough chance for the right fielder Taburin in foul territory. Can't come over and make the play. It's strike 1. Ball falls foul just inside the fence down the right field side. 0-1 on Russ Vay. Vay walked back in the 3rd inning, was sacrificed to second, and then scored on an RBI single by Bob Hines, and that is the extent of our scoring today. Vay stands in, the count 0-1. The pitch by Arch on the way is fouled at the plate. And And Arch ahead on the count, 0-2. Well, Doug Arch has walked only 2 men today, but one of them certainly has come back to haunt him. That base on balls to Vey in the third, which results in the only Oakfield run. It's 0-2 to Russ Vey. Doug Arch is set, and he throws again, and it's fouled back to the screen. So Vey stands in 0-2 once again. Arch, through 4 innings, has allowed 1 run on only 1 hit. He has walked 2, struck out 1. That scoreboard out there in right field looks mighty bare. Again, the 0-2 to Vey. Little looper in the infield, charged by second baseman Sean Arch, grabs it and throws in time. Vey is retired for the first out of the inning, and the batter is DH Lance Neely, who successfully sacrificed to help build that run back in the third inning.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 9, Lance Neely.
Neely is the number 8 man in the batting order for Oakfield. And the pitch to Arch, a breaking ball a bit up for ball 1. Boy, that scoreboard out there, and nothing but zeros on the Greenwood side. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1-0 to Neely. He swings and misses. He was jammed nicely by a good inside fastball by Arch. Now 1-1. Oakfield, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error. Not a whole lot of numerical action out there. Here's the 1-1 delivery. Curveball breaks inside, and Neely now ahead on the count, 2-1. Dark day here in Wausau, but at least looks like we'll get these games in. Here's the 2-1 delivery, fouled back to the screen. Boy, we had those rain problems yesterday. Began coming down around 1:30 or 2 o'clock, just at the end of the second Class C semifinal, which Oakfield won, defeating Amherst 9-0, and that delayed the Class A semifinals, which were supposed to go around 2:30. They did not start until about 6 o'clock. And this Class C championship game was supposed to go at 7:05, postponed until this morning. Here's the 2-2 to Lance Neely. Sidearm, and breaks inside, and it's ball 3. Neely almost offered, and a check of the first base umpire shows that he did not commit himself. So it's ball 3. The count full 3-2. The pitch by Arch is popped up behind home plate. Hinker takes a look, but it's out of play. Up on the roof here at Athletic Park, and the count will stay 3-2. So Neely gets another shot. Back in the batter's box, the count full 3-2. Arch winds and throws a breaking ball over, called strike 3. Doug Arch with 2 strikeouts this morning, both called, by the way, and the batter now is second baseman Dan Ryan.
Number 5, Dan Ryan.
Ryan popped up to first baseman Scott Stantaford his first time up. He is 0 for 1. Arch winds and throws a fastball, popped up to the right side, out of play for strike 1. Oakfield is batting in the bottom half of the 5th inning, leading Greenwood 1-0 in this Class C championship game at Athletic Park. Stay with us, folks, because this one should go right down to the wire. Here's the 0-1 to Ryan. He swings and misses. Good inside breaking ball by Doug Arch. And Ryan behind on the count, 0-2. Arch winds and throws again. Comes sidearm, hit right back to Arch. He turns and fires to Standiford to end the inning. Oakfield in the 5th, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left after 5. Oakfield 1, Greenwood 0. More baseball after this. Well, the Greenwood Indians trailing by a run, and their fans trying to get them excited and back in this ball game as we go to the top half of the 6th inning. Chad Arch leads off and takes a curveball inside for ball 1. Greenwood trailing Oakfield 1-0 as the Indians bat in the top of the 6th of this Class C championship game. 1-0 to Arch is over a called strike. Oakfield scored their only run back in the 3rd. Right-hander Russ Vey on the mound for the Oaks. He has not allowed a hit. He has walked 3 in 5 innings. 1-1 to Chad Arch is a bit low. 2-1. Vey has been behind on a lot of batters today. Vey is set in his 2-1 delivery. Is popped up behind home plate. Catcher Brian Brower back towards the screen and has no play. 2-2 now on Chad Arch. Sophomore third baseman hitting .216 coming into today's action. One of 2 sophomores in the starting lineup for the Greenwood Indians. Number 9 hitter. Stands back in. The pitch by Vey. Curveball hit on the ground to third. Grabbed by Bob Hines, and he'll toss him out for the first out. Arch retired, and now we go to the top of the Greenwood batting order, and the center fielder Gary Grayson. Now, Gary is the only guy in the Indians batting order who has been on base twice. He walked both in the 1st and the 4th innings. Left-handed batter. The pitch by Vey is on the outside corner, a called strike. Grayson was tossed out trying to steal in the 1st, was thrown out on the bases on a bunt play in the 4th. 1-0 curveball just misses a bit high and outside. Grayson, a left-handed batter. Stands back in. The 1-1 pitch by Vey is outside. Gary now has 21 walks this year. He leads the Indians in that category. He gets on base quite a bit, has an on-base percentage of over 400. 2-1 from Vey, high and tight. Well, Grayson now ahead on the count, 3 balls and 1 strike, and the Indians would sure like a guy with his speed on the bases. Vey gets his sign from Brian Brower. Here's the 3-1. It's high. Now, Greenwood has the tying run on base. Grayson has walked 3 times today, and let's see now if Scoop Druschke does run him. Remember, Grayson was thrown out trying to steal back in the 1st inning. The batter is Sean Arch, coming into this ball game hitting .388 with a team-leading 7 home runs and 24 runs batted in. He has bounced out to short and reached on an error. Although he was credited with a sacrifice in that situation, tossed to first and Grayson is back. So officially, Sean is 0 for 1 today. Yesterday's winning pitcher with a complete Game 7 hitter. Grayson leads off first base. Vey will check him. The pitch to Arch, hit on the ground, foul outside the line at 3rd. 0-1 to Sean Arch. Greenwood is batting top half of the 6th inning, trailing Oakfield 1-0 in the WIAA Class C championship game here at Wausau's Athletic Park. We are still waiting for the ball to be returned. It hopped down the 3rd baseline, and one of the ground crew guys comes down to pick it up. And by the way, that ground crew did a great job the last couple of days keeping this playing field in shape. With all the rain they had up here yesterday, the field is in tremendous shape. The count, 0-1 to Sean Arch. Here's the pitch, and he sends a fly ball to center field. Brian Sable back with lots of room. He makes the catch for the 2nd out. So that's the 2nd out of the inning, and now Doug Arch is the batter. Pitching for the Greenwood Indians today, coming in batting .406. He has flied to center and reached on the fielder's choice, 0 for 2. Well, now with 2 outs, we'll see if Grayson moves at first base. If he's thrown out, that means that the Indians would start the next inning with their 3, 4, and 5 hitters. Vey checks the base runner. The pitch to Arch, hit right back up the middle. That's a base hit to center field. Grayson will stop at second base, and the Indians have 2 men aboard with 2 outs for Scott Hinker. Doug Arch comes through with the first base hit of the day for the Greenwood Indians. Both teams now have 1 hit. Grayson, the tying run at second base, and Doug Arch, the go-ahead run at first for Scott Hinker. And before this goes any further, the Oakfield Oaks will have a conference, and Coach John Hine comes out of the dugout. That again, just the first hit of the day for the Indians. A ground ball base hit right back up the middle. And it looks like we may have a pitching change here, folks. Well, boy, that Coach Hine must be a pretty tough guy. You give up one hit and you're pulled. But it appears that Jeff Gunther, a sophomore, is going to come in and pitch for the Oakfield Oaks. Jeff Gunther is going to come in and be the new pitcher for Oakfield. He is a right-hander. They apparently is going to third base, and we'll see if there are any more changes. Yes, it appears that Craig Huck in left field will be replaced by Bob Hines, the former third baseman. So a change on the mound for Oakfield as right-hander Jeff Gunther comes on to pitch for the Oaks. And while he takes his warm-up tosses, why don't we pause for this message.
Today will be from pitch to third base.
Well, the new pitcher for Oakfield is Lance Neely. My mistake here, but they've got two number 9s on the program for Oakfield. One of those surprises we see from time to time. Lance Neely, the DH, is the new pitcher for Oakfield. Russ Vay, the ex-pitcher, has gone to third base. Bob Hines has gone from third base to left field. So here's the situation Neely inherits. Greisen is at second base, Doug Arch at first with 2 outs in the top of the 6th. Oakfield leading Greenwood 1-0. At the plate for Greenwood, Scott Hinker, who has a .547 batting average coming into this contest. Neely from the stretch, he throws a curveball inside. Russ Vay pulled after pitching 5 2/3 innings, allowing no runs on 1 hit. He walked 4, struck out 2. Pitch on the way is belted deep but foul. Way, way out of here down the left field line. Hinker got around on that and drilled it way foul, but a long, long way. Boy, had he straightened that one out, that would still be going. The count to Hinker, 1 ball and 1 strike. And Neely taking a sigh of relief. He throws again on the outside corner, a called strike 2. Indians have the tying run at second base, the go-ahead run at first with 2 outs, and a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes on Scott Hinker. Neely gets his sign, goes to the belt. He throws again, it's low. 2-2 now to Scott Hinker. A very, very serious threat for the Indians, the first they've had since the 4th, when they got the tying run to third but could not score. Now the 2-2 to Hinker. Curveball inside. 3-2 with 2 outs. The runners will be on the move here. Gary Greisen from second base and Doug Arch from first. Scott Hinker stands back in. Neely to the belt. He throws outside. The bases are loaded. Well, it's up to Dave Taburin, senior right fielder. He has flied out twice today, once to center field, once to left. He is 0 for 2. Taburin with 32 RBIs coming into this contest. Second on the Indians ball club in that category, which is amazing considering he's batting behind Hinker. Neely from the windup, he throws and Taburin lines it foul down the right side into the right field bullpen, out of play for strike 1. Gary Greisen at third, Doug Arch at second, Scott Hinker at first with 2 outs. Greenwood batting, top of the 6th, trailing 1-0 in this state championship game. The 0-1 to Taburin, curveball is inside. Count goes to 1-1. A major threat for the Greenwood Indians, and reliever Lance Neely trying to hold them off and preserve the lead for the Oakfield Oaks. He's pitching from the windup. Here's the 1-1 to Taburin, and he rips it to the right side and past the second baseman, a base hit. Greisen scores. Here comes Doug Arch trying to score. He will come home, and Greenwood leads. Well, if If this lead holds up, Dave Taburin will have a few streets named after him in Greenwood after today's ball game. He comes through with a line drive base hit just past second baseman Dan Ryan. In fact, Ryan may have gotten the glove on the baseball, but it skipped by him into shallow right field. Bryson scores from third. Doug Arch scores from second. The Indians lead 2-1. Scott Hinker goes around to third on the play, and now the batter is Kevin Kind. Kevin Kind, the hitter. Left fielder, he has struck out twice. Indians have their first lead. Neely tosses to first base, and Taburin is back in plenty of time. Both of those runs are charged to Vey, and they are both earned. So right now, Vey is the pitcher of record on the losing side. The pitch by Neely, breaking ball inside for ball one. It is now Greenwood 2, Oakfield 1. The Indians batting top of the sixth, runners at first and third and 2 outs. Greenwood has had only 2 hits today. Neely from the stretch tosses to first base, and Taburin dives back in. We'll see if Scoop Druschke sends Taburin down to second base. Dave has only stolen 3 bases this year, so he is not a major threat to run. Here's the 1-0. It's taken up high. 2-0 now to Kevin Kind. Well, apparently, Coach John Hine felt that Russ Vey was tiring earlier in this inning when he replaced him after Vey gave up his first hit of the day, although he was pitching from behind much of the afternoon. Next pitch is over the outside corner, a called strike. The count to Kind is now 2-1. Vey was in control. He had walked 4 ball players and allowed only that 1 hit, but he had been pitching from behind much of the day, and Coach Hine must have felt that he was tiring. Now the 2-1 to Kind is ripped into shallow center field, and that'll fall for a base hit. Hinker will score. Taburin on his way to third base. Here is a play. He dives in. He is safe, and Kind goes to second on the throw. Kevin Kind comes up with the RBI single and gives Greenwood the insurance run, and the Indians now lead by 2, and they have 2 more in scoring position. And finally, the Greenwood bats coming to life here in the 6th after they were no hit for the first 5. The batter now is Ken Vessel. Sophomore shortstop. He has bounced out and fouled out. He takes a pitch over for a called strike. Do not forget that this Oakfield ball club is awfully explosive. They come in with a team batting average well over 300. Kind hits a ground ball to the shortstop, picked up by Berger, and the throw to first base is high, and everybody's safe. Taburin scores, and Greenwood now leads by a 4-1 score. Ken Vessel with a routine grounder to shortstop, and Mark Berger throws the ball high. The first baseman, Tim Holtz, had to come off the bag to make the play, and that error forces in another run. Ken Vessel diving into first base safely. Kind takes third on the play. That run is unearned. And now Scott Standiford, the 9th man to bat this inning. It's a 4-run, 6th inning for the Greenwood Indians. Now Kind at third, Vessel at first. Neely tosses to first base, and Vessel is back. Scott Standiford has bounced out and fouled out. Lance Neely, the reliever from the stretch, he throws, and Standiford hits a ground ball left side. Berger in the hole, grabs it, sets himself and throws to first base. Not in time. Everybody's safe. Throw back to second base, and Vessel slides back in safely. That will be an infield hit for Standiford. Scott Standiford on an infield hit. He put the ball in the hole between short and third, and Mark Berger made a great play to come over and track the ball down, but could not set himself and throw in time to get Standiford. In the meantime, Ken Vessel had rounded the bag at second base, and Tim Holtz, the first baseman, made a good throw down there to try to catch Vessel off guard at second, but Ken dove back in just in time. So Greenwood has batted around here in the 6th inning. They now lead by 4, and the batter is third baseman Chad Arch. Chad has bounced out twice today, so he is 0 for 2. Vessel at second base, Standiford at first. Pitch on the way is over for a called strike. A 5-run 6th. A 5-run 6th inning for Greenwood. The Indians lead by 4. Neely from the stretch. He throws on the outside corner, a called strike 2. Well, Doug Arch has been mighty tough on the mound for the Indians today. He has allowed only 1 hit. He will now have at least a 4-run lead to work with. Next pitch swung on and missed, and Arch is retired. Greenwood in the 6th with 5 runs on 3 hits. There was 1 error, 1 walk, and 2 men left on base. So after 5.5, the score is Greenwood 5 and Oakfield 1. We'll come back for more baseball after this message.
Oakfield, the leadoff hitter, left fielder Bob Hines.
Well, for the first time today, Doug Arch is pitching with a lead, and his first pitch to Bob Hines to start the 6th is on the inside corner for a called strike. It's Greenwood 5 and Oakfield 1 as Oakfield bats in the bottom half of the 6th inning. The Greenwood Indians with a 5-run 6th. 2 of those runs were unearned. Here's a curveball that's over for a called strike 2. And the Greenwood fans getting mighty excited right now, anticipating a state championship. The 0-2. Swung on and missed. Three strikeouts for Doug Arch. And the batter now is shortstop Mark Berger. He has struck out and fouled out 0 for 2.
Batting shortstop Mark Berger.
Arch winds and throws. It's popped up behind home plate, and that will be out of play for strike 1. Well, you can bet there's a lot of excitement right now in that Greenwood dugout. Coach Scoop Druschke perhaps on the verge of a state championship for the Greenwood High School Indians, and what a thrill that would be for the community, the school, for the baseball players and their families and friends. State championships don't come along that often, but the Indians might be on the verge of one. The count to Berger, no balls and 1 strike. The pitch by Arch is low, 1-1. But this Oakfield team is mighty dangerous offensively. They can still attack. Here's the 1-1 to Berger, a curveball inside. 2-1. Arch has used that breaking ball very effectively today. Count now 2-1. Arch throws again. A fastball popped up on the diamond on the right side, and Sean Arch at second base calls, and he got it. Two outs, and the batter now is Kevin Miller, Oakfield right fielder, who has bounced out to second base twice today. So he is 0 for 2. Well, that'd be something if we have the 2 area state champions within 1 week. The Marathon girls last week and the Greenwood baseball team this week. I wonder who's going to win a state title next week. Have to make this a weekly occurrence in central Wisconsin. Of course, Stevens Point could be on the verge of winning a softball title today. The pitch by Arch is inside, ball 1. 1-0 to Kevin Miller. Oakfield batting last of the 6th. Arch's 1-0 pitch over for a called strike. A lot of Greenwood fans are standing, cheering on every pitch. Oakfield fans mighty quiet right now after that 5-run outburst in the 6th inning by Greenwood. Here's the 1-1 to Miller. He thinks about it but takes it just outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. You can bet these Greenwood fans will really be making noise in the bottom half of the 7th. There's the 2-1. That is a bit low, ball 3. Arch going to the fastball that time, and again he's had more success controlling the breaking ball than he has had the fastball. 3-1 to Kevin Miller. The pitch to Arch on the way, curveball high and tight. And Oakfield has a 2-out base runner. That's the third walk issued by Doug Arch today, and the batter now is first baseman Tim Holtz. And as we mentioned earlier, this is a real big guy. Hitting .393 coming into today's tournament. He has lined out to short and flied to left today, so officially he is 0 for 2. Arch from the stretch checks Miller at first. Here's the pitch. It's on the outside corner, a called strike. With a 4-run deficit, Kevin Miller is not likely to be going at first base. He's only got about a 2-step lead, so Arch should not be concerned with him. Curveball to Holtz is high, and the count now 1-1. Doug Arch in command. He is an undefeated pitcher this year, 5-0 coming into today's action with an ERA of 4.45. He will check Miller at first base. The 1-1 to Holtz. Ground ball to short, picked up by Vessel. He will step on second base himself to force Miller and end the inning. Oakfield in the 6th. No runs, no hits, no errors, a walk, and 1 man left. We go to the 7th inning of this state championship game with Greenwood leading Oakfield 5-1, and we'll be back after this. We have some more changes for Oakfield. The new pitcher is Bob Hines, who has come in from left field. So Hines is now on the mound. Kevin Miller has gone from left field to right field. And there's been no announcement, but I'm going to assume that Lance Neely is now playing in right. Seventh inning here at Wausau's Athletic Park, and we go back to the top of the Greenwood batting order, and center fielder Gary Greisen, who began the 5-run onslaught in the 6th inning with a base on balls and scored the first of their 5 runs. The pitch by Hines is on the inside corner for a called strike. Here's the 0-1 delivery, way inside, 1-1. Greisen with 3 walks today. Greenwood on top, 5-1. Top of the 7th. The pitch by Hines is fouled back to home plate, behind home plate. Count now 1-2. Well, when we saw Greenwood play Pittsville in the sectional ball and the regional ball game a couple of weeks ago, Coach Druschke said, you know, Greisen only hits about .270, but he's on base so many times. He leads the ball club in walks. Here's the 1-2 from Hines. That's fouled down the left side on a play. And Greisen, including today's action, has now walked 22 times in 22 games. So he is on base a lot. And that's what you want from that leadoff batter. Again, Hines' 1-2 pitch is ripped to left center field. That's a base hit. Gary Greisen with a solid single to left center field to begin the Greenwood 7th inning. So the Indians have a leadoff man aboard here in the 7th, and the batter is second baseman Sean Arch. Sean is 0 for 2 today. He's flied to center, bounced to short. He has also reached on an error during a sacrifice attempt. Now we'll see if Greisen runs now. The pitch by Hines, ripped right back up the middle, picked up by Berger at short, steps on the bag, throws to first base in time for a double play. Nice play by Mark Berger at short, who took that high hopper behind the bag at second base, stepped on second for the force play on Greisen, and then threw to first baseman Tim Holtz to retire Arch. So quickly there are 2 out in the Greenwood 7th inning, and the hitter now is Doug Arch, who picked up the first Greenwood hit of the day back in the 6th inning. He takes a pitch low and outside for ball 1. That hit the first of 4 in the Greenwood 6th. That led to the 5-run outburst that gave the Indians their current lead. Here's the 1-0, low and outside, 2-0 now to Doug Arch. Doug has also flied to center and reached on a ground ball force out. 2-0 delivery, low and outside, 3-0. Indian fans will be making a lot of noise in the bottom half of this inning. 3-0 to Doug Arch, right down the center for a called strike, as Oakfield will send their 5, 6, and 7 hitters up. Hines throws again. That's low and outside, a base on balls for Doug Arch. Well, we'll get to see Scott Hinker bat one more time, and this guy is worth the price of admission, the way he pounds the baseball. Hinker with a walk back in the 6th inning, helping to build that 5-run inning. He has also flied to center, and he also walked back in the 2nd. He really brought the crowd to its feet in the 6th with a long, long foul ball down the left field line. It was way foul. There was not much doubt about it. But he really got around on it. He was the first guy that Lance Neely, the first reliever, came in to throw to, and Hinker hit Neely's 2nd pitch out on the street in deep left field. So Hinker stands in. Arch will lead at first base. He gets the jacket down there. The pitch by Hines is on the outside corner for a called strike. Greenwood on the verge of a state baseball championship. They lead Oakfield 5-1, top of the 7th. Here's the 0-1 curveball. Down low, the count goes to 1-1. Greenwood would like to add to their 4-run advantage because they know that Oakfield attack is awfully explosive. Here's the 1-1. Misses low and outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. So the Indians would like to get another run or two for Doug Arch as he goes into the bottom half of the 7th inning. Hinker stands back in. Here's the 2-1 delivery, and it's roped foul down the right field side out of play. 2-2. Doug Arch back at first base. Right-hander Bob Hines goes into the motion. His pitch to Hinker is popped into shallow right field behind first base, and Tim Holtz, the first baseman, makes the catch in foul territory to end the inning. Greenwood in the 7th, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, a walk and 1 left. We go to the last half of the 7th inning, and Greenwood has a chance for a state championship. Our score is Greenwood 5, Oakfield 1. We'll be back after these messages. Well, friends, the Greenwood Indians trying to wrap up a Class C baseball championship. Doug Arch on the mound. In 6 innings, he has allowed only 1 run on 1 hit. He has walked 3 and struck out 3. And the Indians trying to cap a state championship season. Arch will be facing the 5, 6, and 7 hitters for Oakfield here in the 7th. The first man he will face is center fielder Brian Sable, who has bounced out to 3rd and walked today. Sable officially 0 for 1. Oakfield, a very explosive team. They come into today's action with a team batting average of .379. They have 8 guys in their lineup batting over .300. The pitch by Arch is low and outside for ball 1. So this ball game is not over because Oakfield can score a lot of runs. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Inside, ball 2. And you can imagine how Doug Arch must feel on that mound. Trying to pitch his team to a state championship. Must be some butterflies out there. Here's the 2-0. Over for a called strike. An important pitch because Doug may settle down after getting that first one over. Sable still ahead 2-1. Arch throws again, and he pops it foul behind home plate. No play for Hinker. The count is now 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 now to Brian Sable. Greenwood fans are up, making some noise, trying to cheer on their favorites. The pitch by Arch on the way is looped down the right field line, and it falls into fair territory in the corner. Sable on his way to second base. Taburin picks up the baseball, throws, not in time, and Sable has a double down the line and right to start the 7th inning. That ball was looped down the line in right, and not fair by much. That's only the 2nd hit today for the Oakfield Oaks, but they do have a leadoff runner on here in the 7th inning. Of course, Doug Arch on the mound for Greenwood has a 4-run lead to play with. The batter now is Brian Brower, the catcher, who hit a 2-run homer in the semifinal game with Amherst yesterday. Arch from the stretch, he throws. High and outside, ball 1. Brian Sable down at second base. Brower, a senior, batting .354. The pitch by Arch is low and inside, and again, Doug falling behind, 2-0, and here comes Scoop Druschke. Greenwood coach Scoop Druschke wants to come out to the mound and talk with Doug Arch. You can imagine that Doug is pretty unsettled right now. Imagine about to pitch your team to a state championship, just a few more guys to get out. You can imagine for a 17 or 16-year-old guy, that's rather unnerving. So Coach Druschke goes out to talk to Doug by himself. He does not call out the catcher or the other infielders. And he pats him on the back and says, "Let's get him." Meantime, Oakfield coach John Hine has had a discussion with his batter, Brian Brower. Brower is ahead on the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Right-handed batter, he stands back in. Arch from the stretch, he throws, and that pitch is high for ball 3. Coach Druschke told us yesterday that in the event he had to go to a reliever, probably the first guy he would use would be Gary Grayson. The 3-0 pitch, curveball, misses low and outside, ball 4, and Oakfield has their first 2 men aboard here in the 7th inning. The 4th walk issued by Arch. Sable at second base, Brower at first, and the batter is Russ Vay. Vay walked and scored back in the 3rd, the only Oaks run. Here's the pitch, over for a called strike. Vay is now playing third base. He began the day as the Oakfield pitcher, and right now he is the pitcher of record on the losing side. The count to Vay is 0-1. Arch from the stretch, he throws, and it's swung on and fouled at the plate. Vay behind on the count, 0-2. This guy, even though he's batting 7th in the order, comes into today's action with a batting average of .415, so he does swing the bat pretty well. The runners lead at first and second. Arch from the stretch, he throws, and Vay swings and misses. Four strikeouts for Doug Arch today. 1 out. Lance Neely is the scheduled hitter. And Coach John Hine has come down from the third base coaching lines, and he and Neely and the plate umpire, Mr. Resch, are having a discussion. I believe that they're just having Neely check back in. He was a DH and then a relief pitcher and then checked out, now is checked back in again. So Neely is being reintroduced into the ball game. Lance Neely has successfully sacrificed and has been called out on strikes. He is 0 for 1 today. Class B semifinals come up after this ball game. De Pere plays Elkhorn, then Barron and Wisconsin Dells. Then the Class A championship game and the Class B title contest. So a lot of baseball at Athletic Park today. Runners at first and second with 1 out. Arch from the stretch, he throws, and Neely takes it over, a called strike. Oakfield is batting in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Runners at first and second, and 1 out. They trail Greenwood 5-1 in this Class C championship game. The count to Neely, 0-1. Arch throws again, breaking ball high and away. 1-1 to Lance Neely. Greenwood fans getting ready to celebrate, but they've got to have Doug Arch get the side out here in the 7th inning. The 1-1 to Neely, it's high. So again, Doug Arch pitching from behind. He has been in control much of this baseball game, but now starting to fall behind some hitters. Lance Neely ahead on the count, 2-1. And Arch throws again, and there's a ground ball past Chad Arch down the line in left field. Sable will stop at third base. The bases are loaded with 1 out, and that means the tying run will be at the plate. Neely with a hot smash right past third baseman Chad Arch. Sable takes third. Brower goes to second. Neely, the base runner, at first. with only one out, and the batter is Dan Ryan, the Oakfield second baseman. He has popped to first and bounced back to the pitcher, and he is the tying run at the plate. Only the third hit allowed by Doug Arch today. He will pitch from the windup. His first toss to Dan Ryan is a fly ball to left field. Kevin Kind is there. Sable tagging at third. Kind makes the catch, and Sable is not coming. The bases remain loaded with 2 outs, and the batter is Bob Hines. You know, in that situation, you don't want that third out thrown out at the plate. So wisely, Coach John Hine held Brian Sable at third. Wind is blowing in today, and so that did not help Dan Ryan's fly ball to left field, although it was not really that well hit anyway. Bob Hines has one of the 3 hits against Arch today, a base hit back in the third, which drove in the only Oakfield run. He has also bounced to second and struck out 1 for 2. The pitch is high for ball 1. 1 more out, and the Greenwood Indians will be Class C baseball champions for 1986. The pitch by Arch is off the plate, ball 2. 2-0 to Bob Hines. However, Oakfield has the tying run at the plate. Here's the 2-0 delivery. There's a line drive foul down the right side. Greenwood fans making some noise, a lot of them standing, anticipating a state championship for Greenwood. And what a thrill that would be. 1 more out, and Greenwood, state champions for 1986. The count to Bob Hines, 2-1. The runners lead at all 3 stations. The pitch, low. 3-1 now to Bob Hines. Arch winds and throws again. It's high. The bases remain loaded, and a run scores. Hines gets the RBI on the bases loaded walk, scoring Sable. And the Greenwood lead now cut to 5-2 as Sable scores. Brower goes to third. Neely takes second. Hines now at first, and the batter is Mark Berger. And perhaps more importantly, now Oakfield has the winning run at the plate, the tying runs on base. The Greenwood lead cut to 5-2. Berger 0 for 3 today. Arch looks in. He winds and he throws, and the pitch is low and inside for ball 1. Greenwood coach Scoop Druschke may think about making a move very, very soon. The 1-0 pitch, a breaking ball, misses high. 2-0 to Mark Berger. The wind is blowing in right now very stiffly. Arch still from the windup. He throws, and Berger takes it high for ball 3. You'd have to assume that Berger would be the last guy Arch faces if Doug cannot retire this guy. 3 balls, no strikes to Mark Berger. The pitch on the way. Outside, ball 4, and another run is walked in. And here comes Scoop Druschke. Brian Brower scores on that walk. Neely will go to third. Hines takes second, and Berger at first. Kevin Miller, the number 3 man in the batting order, is due up next. And Scoop Druschke is making a long walk towards the mound, and this time he's coming with Scott Hinker and Scott Standiford. Well, now Oakfield has the tying run in scoring position. The bases are loaded. The winning run is at first base, and the batter is the number 3 hitter, Kevin Miller. So, ladies and gentlemen, this one's certainly not over as of yet. Arch has walked 3 Oakfield batters in this inning, forcing in a couple of runs, and now the entire infield will gather at the mound to discuss this situation with Coach Druschke and Hinker and Standiford. Coach Druschke mentioned to us yesterday that if he had to make a move, his first man to the mound would be Gary Grayson, his left-hander, stationed in center field. But there will be no move right now. He will stay with Doug Arch. How about that? And the Greenwood fans approve. Doug Arch will remain in the ball game, even though he has walked 3 in this inning and walked his last 2. And he will face Kevin Miller, who has walked and twice bounced out to second base. The bases are loaded, 2 outs in the bottom half of the 7th. Oakfield down by 2, so the tying run is at second base. The winning run is at first base. And Miller getting some directions from Coach John Hine on the lines at third. Quite a matchup we have right here. Arch winds. He throws, and Miller takes one low for ball 1. Again, Arch has walked in 2 runs in this inning. He has walked the last 2 batters he's faced with the bases loaded. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That is low. Ball 2. 2-0. And Doug Arch having control problems of major proportions here in the 7th. He throws again, over for a called strike. Coach Scoop Druschke showing a lot of confidence in Doug Arch. I'm sure that fans will talk about this move, keeping this guy in there. From the stretch, the 2-1, it is just low for ball 3. And now Miller ahead on the count, 3-1. Greenwood fans are looking towards the first base dugout to see if Coach Druschke makes a move, pops out of there. The count to Miller, 3-1. He now steps out on Arch. Another base on balls would move that tying run to third base and put the go-ahead run, the winning run, in scoring position. Arch is pitching from the stretch. Here's the 3-1. Ground ball, third base side, foul, just outside the bag. So now the count to Kevin Miller is full up at 3-2. Again, remember, the wind is blowing in stiffly. So Arch could be encouraged to just let Miller put the ball in play somewhere. Obviously not groove one, but don't be afraid to let him hit it. Here's the full count pitch. Line drive, left field. Kin comes on in left center. The ball's over his head. It will go wall to the wall. 1 run scores. Here comes Hines trying to score, and the winning run will score, and Oakfield wins. Oakfield wins with a 5-run 7th inning and a bases loaded double to the wall by Kevin Miller. The Oakfield ball players, the entire team, running out to second base to jump all over Kevin Miller, who comes through with a line drive to the wall in left center field, clearing the bases and giving the state championship to Oakfield. The Oakfield Oaks, with a 5-run 7th inning, come back and defeat Greenwood in this championship game by a score of 6-5. And we'll come back and recap today's action following these messages.